want to talk to y'all a little bit about the podcast that I did recently with Drew Myers, Defining Audacity. I didn't realize how much that podcast and that interview, that conversation was going to mean to me until we were in it. But Drew has a way of really getting the story out of the artist, and it was just really cool. And I really admire him for that, and I really appreciate him doing that because it gave me a chance to go so in depth, and I've never had a chance to go that in depth while I'm actually speaking. There have been articles and reviews and things written about my song Harm Nobody Else, but nothing yet where I dive this heavily into everything. One of the things that we talk about is suicide and my story with that, and my story with the childhood trauma. A lot of things, a lot of reactions that I had that I used to be very embarrassed about. I tell everything. I tell it all. I really believe that things happen for a reason, and I believe that I got the chance to tell all of those things so deeply so that someone who's going through something like that or who has been through it can maybe feel less alone and maybe see how I got through it. If you have ever had thoughts of suicide, if you have been through any type of trauma, if you think that you have just royally screwed up your life, if you feel like you have done really bad things that you are not proud of, I hope that you will go and listen to this podcast. None of these things are anything to be ashamed of. Thoughts of suicide are very, very common. They're something that we need to talk about because the less we talk about it, the more people feel like I felt that it's something to be ashamed of, and it's not your fault. I figured out a way to get through those thoughts, and I'm so fortunate that I now have that tool. At the end of the podcast that I did with Drew Myers, we do talk about my life list. He asked artists to talk about their life list, and he likes to call it a life list instead of a bucket list so that you're focusing on the life part, and I love that. One of the things that has always been on my life list is to ride a bull. Drew told me that he can make that happen. So the second thing that I want to talk about is my music video for Harm Nobody Else. It will premiere on Americana Highways next week, the 28th. I haven't really gotten a lot of chances to talk about the music video specifically. The music video definitely is not an easy one to watch. I did that on purpose because I felt like I needed to portray exactly what the song means. It touches on suicide, and it touches on child abuse. My daughter, who was 3 in the video, she plays me as a child. She did such a great job. I filmed all of this myself. I felt like that was the only way that I could get everything out there that I wanted to and be completely comfortable saying what I wanted to say and showing what I wanted to show with the song. My intention with making the video so raw and so real is that I did not want to put out a sugar-coated anything. I wanted to show the painful things that my song Harm Nobody Else is trying to portray. There's no point in doing it for me unless it is completely honest. I don't believe that telling any kind of sugar-coated anything is gonna make any type of change. Child abuse happens. It's all of our responsibility to make sure that it doesn't continue to happen. It's okay to talk about these things, and when it gets to the part that touches on suicide, it touches on suicide a couple of times. I want people to watch it and realize that this is something that happens to people, that happens to a lot of people, and we can talk about it. We need to talk about it, because if we don't talk about it, not everybody gets the chance that I got to keep living. If it were up to me in that moment, when I tried, I wouldn't still be here, but something happened. I also do want to mention this. At the end of the video, I put in bloopers of my daughter. She had no idea what she was acting out. She just knew she was acting, and she was having a good time. It's actually kind of funny because she's laughing and giggling and having a great time. It's a nice, lighthearted way to end the video. It shows her little personality too. I wanted to touch on those two things today. I wanted to invite y'all to go and listen to the podcast I did with Defining Audacity with Drew Myers, Road Less Traveled. I hope that when you watch my music video when it releases, I hope that you will realize that this is something that's okay to talk about. All these things are okay to talk about. We need to talk about them. It's our duty to save children and save survivors. If you are someone who needs to hear that podcast episode, or someone who needs to see the music video, I hope that you will listen to my story and watch the story, and I hope that you will realize that there's hope, and there's hope for healing. You don't have to feel this way forever. You can heal. You can heal just like I have. I'm not done healing, and I'm okay with that, but I have healed so much, and life is so much brighter on the other side of just starting to heal. If you're not able to relate to any of these things, that's great, but you're still a part of this. And I hope that you'll listen to that podcast, and I hope that you'll watch the music video, and I hope you'll realize that there is something you can do. Even if all you do is just start talking about it, making it okay to talk about suicide, talk about child abuse, talk about any type of abuse or trauma, you can start changing people's lives by simply starting conversations. You can be a part of the solution, and I hope that you will do that. Thank y'all so much.